In these short videos I'm showing you how to transition from Excel to Python. If you know the basics of Python but still struggle to actually use it, this series is for you. This episode will be about opening and saving files. In this folder we have several files, some of them are in Excel format, some of them are in CSV. Obviously you know how to open them in Excel, we don't have to cover that, but we will learn how to open these files in Python. For this purpose we will use IDE called PyCharm, but it can be any other. This is where we have created project and we will write our script. Firstly, we will import pandas, which is a library used for working on data frames. So we write pandas as PD. Data frames are actually tables or data sheets. This is how we call them in pandas. And the default abbreviation for that is df. So we write df equals pd read csv. Then we specify path to the file or just the file name if the file is in the same folder as our project. And now to see the results, we will use the head method. So we write print df.head. This is a method used to preview the first rows in a file. As default, it's 5 rows, but it can be specified with 10 or any other number. This is our output, but you can see that some of the columns are hidden. To prevent this, we will add another method, which is called toString, and now we see all the columns. Now we can open files and specify the only columns that we want to see. To do that, we will use parameter usecols, and as a value we pass a list of column headers that we want to see. In this instance, it will be first name and last name. As you can see, our output is limited only to the selected columns. We can also narrow down the number of rows that we want to load into memory. To do that, we will use parameter nrows, and as value we pass number of rows. And there we go, only the first 2 rows are loaded in. Another interesting example would be a file that does not contain column labels. Let's open it in Excel first. As you can see, it doesn't contain any column names, which can be easily added in Excel, but let's fix it in Python. I will now specify the different file name. And there you go, no headers. Actually, the first data row is used as header, but this is not what we want. To fix this, we will add parameter header and set its value as none. Now we see that our data frame has default headers, which are numbers 1, 2, 3 and so on. But we can easily change them using columns property. We will write df.columns and then pass a list of headers. For instance, it can be col1, col2, col3. Okay, it's my bad now, I've passed too little, it should be 8, not 7. Okay, another mistake, I have an extra bracket at the end, I need to remove it. And there we go, it works. We can also open Excel files, not only CSV. Like this one. It contains 2 data sheets, that's the first one. And this is what we want to open in Python. So it reads df equals pd read excel, and then we pass the path to the file or just the file name. Let's print out the results. And it looks perfect. As default, it will always open the first sheet, but what if we want to see the other one? We have a sheet called dummy data, and this is what we want to open now. We will then specify a sheet name as a parameter, and the value is dummy data. Okay, let's run it. Let me adjust the number of rows in the head method so we can see the full file. Okay, it gets loaded in, but there is an issue because we have an extra row in the top. Also, there is a row with totals that we rather want to exclude from the view. So we will use two parameters. The first one would be skiprows, the other one would be skipfooters, and we specify how many rows we want to skip. There we go, it looks perfect now. The same as expected. Okay, it seems like we know all about opening files, so let's now focus on saving them. To do that, we will write df.tocsv and then we specify the file name. For us, it's gonna be output file 1.csv. Let's run it now. The output file will be added to our project folder and open the output file. The result looks pretty good, but there is an extra column, column A, which contains row indexes. To get rid of these indexes, we will pass parameter index and set its value as false. Now it looks better. We might also want to add something to the existing file. For instance, we will start the file with the first row only. This is our output, only the first row. And let's add the second row to the very same file. I will use standard slicing to get this. We will need an extra parameter called mode, and we set its value as A, which stands for append. We can also add the mode to the line where we created this file as mode W, which stands for write, but this is not necessary because writing mode is the default one. And let's see the result. Okay, the second row is there, but the problem we have is that the column labels are added for the second time. To skip them, we will use another parameter called header and set its value as false. The output looks correct now. We can also save files into Excel format. So we write this formula. You don't have to remember it, it's important that you have it somewhere in your notes. So it reads pd Excel writer, then we specify the path. Engine would be open py-excel. Mode would be write because we create this file, and this is as writer. And we will save our first row. That to Excel, writer, and sheet name would be row 1. with no index, obviously. Let's run and see. Looks good to me. And now we will add the second sheet to the same file. I'll copy-paste the formula and change it a little. So we want to have the second row instead of the first. Mode would be append now. And sheet name reads row 2. Now we run it. And the output looks just like we want it. Actually, that would be all for this lesson. If you want to learn more about reading and saving files, you can always refer to the pandas documentation. This is where you find all the parameters available with description and also with examples. Thanks for watching.